All right, guys, welcome back to the podcast. We have got a great topic of conversation today, one that comes up time and time again, and time being that key word today. So how to strength train when you are time poor. Probably one of the most, or the biggest problem, the biggest hurdle that we have always faced as coaches here at Strength of Endurance is working with very time poor individuals. People who are very highly productive. They've got a lot going on in their life. Most people are kind of juggling careers, families, busy social lives, a hell of a lot of training. People we work with don't need motivating. They have a highly populated week of training, upwards of 5-10 hours of training across multiple endurance sports. Some are doing a hell of a lot of one thing. Others are doing a whole myriad of different sports, just doing what they fancy, really. But strength training, one of the first things to get dropped, and actually one of the leading factors as to why so many people are struggling with setbacks from being able to take part in their sport, being able to perform at their best. It's because simply their bodies break down after a time away from doing their strength conditioning work. They may do it for bits and pieces here and there. They may flirt with it and have flirted with it for over the last number of months, if not years. We at SFE work very hard to make sure we can keep people doing it consistently well. We want to make sure that everyone we work with, whether they're on a running program with us, a triathlon program with us, a cycling, swimming, multi-sport program with us, they are able to maintain that again consistently over 6, 12, 18 months and consistently see increases in strength, increases in endurance. Now, that may sound obvious, but actually the hardest part, if you talk to any coach that doesn't implement strength conditioning, the biggest problem they'll be facing is that they are seeing an inconsistency where their clients, their athletes are picking up niggles and injuries along the way. It's because they're not working with this holistic approach. They're not integrating strength conditioning on a day-to-day basis. Why is it so important? Well, it keeps you going. You're working on areas that you're neglecting within your sport. Sit on a bike for 6 months, non-stop. Just run for the next 3 to 6 months. Just wait to see what your body starts to say to you. As you increase more volume, as you bring more intensity into the play, as you start running more off the track, out on the trails, don't do any S&C work. Just see what your body starts to tell you. And you will notice that your body will start to wear down. It starts to break down. You start to overload certain areas. You start to compensate. Your S&C is all, your strength training is what's there to prevent that. And yet alone to prevent, to rebuild areas of your body that when you're coming back into these sports, potentially you're weak in the first place. But guys, we're going to go through 4 key areas: how to integrate, what areas to bully, how to be more efficient, and then how to create a strategy. So these are the 4 key points we're going to be running through over the next number of minutes. Again, I want to keep this short, concise, guys, because the way we work, it was obviously every single one of you will kind of resonate with 1 or 2 of these key points. You'll realize that actually if you did focus more on one of these key areas, you'll probably be able to do a little bit more S&C work within your week. What that key strength training should look like, head back into our other podcast episodes, but essentially it's an individualized approach. The key strength training that you want to be doing is going to be unique to you. What do you need to be working on right now? What do you need more of? What do you need to be working on or being held accountable to more so than anything else? So let's jump into it, guys, right off the bat. How to integrate more S&C into your week. So if you are time poor, okay, you're looking at your week, you're thinking, how in the world am I meant to be fitting in more sessions into my week? Is this not possible? Well, straight off the bat, integrate it into a daily routine. So you were looking at your timetable. You don't have a clear hour, 45 minutes of your day right now. Fine. Let's start to incorporate it into your own daily habits and routines that you've already got in place. Can you be working on the lowest rung of the ladder, some basic mobility, making sure that you have good range of motion, good mechanics through those key joint structures, ankles, knees, hips, shoulders? Are they all relatively functioning well? Do they have relatively good range of motion? Can you move into a deep squat, sit into your heels, down on the ground, and be relatively comfortable? If not, something to work on. And you could be literally dropping into the bottom of a squat any time during the day. I mean, we have people doing it, getting into such a habit with it that they're doing it at the office, literally getting up, walking around, using a table leg, using it as a bit of support and dropping down into their squat. They're going into a T-spine lunge. They're going into a crucifix stretch. They're just doing some basic hinging at the hips, just opening up their pelvis, putting some range of motion through the hamstrings, but barely minutes of work that you could be doing. But again, straight away, you're bringing in some strategy. You're bringing in you're deciding to integrate some more directed S&C. Can we take it another level? You've got 5, 10, 15 minutes to play with during the week, during the day. Can we bring in one specific area that you could be targeting? You have an obvious imbalance one side over another because of a previous injury, because of just playing a sport that was having more of a dominance one side? Can we get you targeting some single leg strength? Literally throwing your foot up on the back of a couch and doing some split squats 3 times 5, 2 to 3 times a week, just with body weight. Literally just loading that leg like that and putting some work through it, standing on one leg, moving into an arabesque. Like, there are little things you can be doing. If you're concerned about your core and upper body strength, drop down to the ground, push-ups, being able to do some basic core plank work. This is the lowest hanging kind of fruit, guys. We can all be doing little bits of this. It's just whether you have enough of an incentive. What's your reason? Well, if you're injured and you're miserable, that's a very good reason. I mean, we always find it easy to work with people who have had niggles and injuries in the past because they just don't want to they don't want to miss out anymore. If you're missing out currently, you feel like you're seriously not getting anywhere fast, you want to be introducing these types of behaviors. Don't overthink it. 30 to 45 minutes. Most people can find that. It's just whether you're prepared to wake up early, go to bed later, reduce a bit of TV, move things around. It can be done. A lot of our clients are doing this from home. They have home gym setups. We're not talking all the bells and whistles. It's kind of the basics, but they're targeting key areas of weakness, but bringing in 30 to 45 minutes. Can you be, and then starting to think, right, 3 to 5 to 6 key individualized strength exercises that you could be targeting, hit them 2 to 3 times a week. We're starting to roll here. We're starting to really see some progression, and we're starting to see some actual benefits from all this work. Warm-ups, recoveries of, if you're already running, riding, swimming, whatever your weekly schedule looks like, please tell me you're doing a warm-up. Please tell me you're doing some form of recovery routine. It's not just a few odd stretches. That's an opportunity for you to be doing some form of S&C work, actually targeting some single leg strength, some core work. You can actually take that 5-minute window and actually bring in some exercises that are going to be dialing that in. So options, guys, integrate little habits, little and often, unbelievably powerful. You know this. It's whether you have been, like, these are the tools that we give everyone we work with, because we give them like the bulk, the 2 to 3 sessions, that's a given. But there's always more to be worked on. So we you're always trying to kind of politely brainwash people as you work with them, like, okay, here's 1-2 key drills you can be doing in the morning, do it at work, blah, blah, blah. But it just starts to kind of unpack the problems quicker, if you know what I mean, and start to build more momentum. 1 to 2 sessions can be missed. 4 to 5 little and often routines. You're going to start to hit that problem time and time and time again until it dissipates. Bully your weak points. Okay, if you are time poor, as I said, just focus on what you know you're weak at. If you're not sure what you're weak at, do some basic testing on yourself. We've got some great resources over on strengthforendurance.com. Literally, you can buy, download, and it will literally just unpack you and how you move. I'm asking you to film yourself. Why? So you can see these imbalances, you can see the weaknesses, you can see the lack of range of motion, the lack of engagement, the lack of control when you're landing. These are the things you've got to be good at. You want to run the trails, you want to ride, you want to produce more power on the bike, you want to be more confident in the water, you want to be able to hike multiple hours across multiple terrains. Show us you've got basic level of athleticism. As a 70-year-old person all the way down to a 17-year-old person, you should have this ability to be able to move your own body weight for fun. It's just, can you right now? Do you have complete confidence? This is where we want to be. And if you don't have confidence in certain movements, certain areas of your body, there they are. There's probably some of the areas that we really need to work on. If you're scared to jump and land, if you're scared to, if you're very unstable through just one leg, there we are. There's our weak points. Everyone has different weak areas because of previous injury. For me, it's my left side. For other people, it's going to be their, it's going to be like the shoulder. It's going to be their lower back. It's going to be like hamstring. It's going to be a knee. Work on the areas above and below those problem areas. Work on the structural integrity of your rest of your body to support those areas. So bully your weaknesses. It can be 1 or 2 key exercises, and you can move that needle forward a number of pegs, because you're starting to bring a bit more holistic balance to your body. A lot of people are dragging their bodies around at the moment. Like, literally, they are they're very dysfunctional. They're very inefficient in their movement mechanics because they have some significant weak areas that are there compensating for consistently. And most of you might be aware of this when you're starting to fatigue. Where are you starting to fatigue? What does your body position look like? Attack these weak points. Number 3 is being more efficient. This comes potentially with a bit more coaching, a bit more accountability, a bit more education. Like, it's, a lot of people will see strength and conditioning work as kind of quite a templated formula, A, B, C, D, E. Actually, you can be far more efficient with your behavior towards your S&C. There's multiple methods. There's multiple designs that you could be following, and depending on the individual we're working with. Some people are, again, home-based training. Some people are commercial gym training. We are looking potentially at bringing in different behaviors when you're in the gym. Some of you are working more on isometrics. Some of you are working more on actually don't worry about putting S&C work into other, so some of these other areas because you're strong enough. Let's make sure we're bullying these key areas. Can we double down on these areas? Supersets, triplets. Can we bring in 4 exercises that are going to target one key area, but we're going to hit it from multiple different angles? Efficiency, moving from one machine to another, working from one exercise to another, incorporating a body weight, a resistance band, and a machine based or a free weight based exercise within the space of 2 or 3 minutes. Why? It's not high intensity. What it's more about is attacking that weak spot with intention, but it's very time efficient. Yeah, a lot of people will spend their time kind of meandering around and not creating enough of a stimulus to create an adaptation in those tissues, in those joint structures. And so never see the results. They start to drift. They start to become a little bit disillusioned, and they've stopped doing it. And they once again, they're on that kind of hope pathway where they're just hoping that they're going to be able to maintain what they're doing. Think about being more efficient. And a lot of the time, we may be looking to find more efficient ways just through communication on a week-to-week basis. Heads up, Chris. Massive week this week with work. Program I'm currently on. Not sure how I can fit it all in. Yeah, totally understand. Let's look at boom, boom, boom. And we kind of strip things back, target things, make things more efficient. But you're still every single week working on those things that are going to be helping, again, move the needle, kind of move you forwards. And the last one, number 4 today, in terms of if you're time poor, and everything I've said so far leads up to this, have a strategy. Actually be aware of what you need to be working on, what time frame you've got to work with, when you can be doing this, looking ahead to your week ahead and going, right, when can I fit this in? Make yourself accountable to it. You don't need potentially to have a coach then if you're very good at organizing yourself. But then even then, we started working with someone this week, militant in their kind of behaviors. But actually, when you look at what they were kind of keeping themselves accountable to, they were avoiding everything that they need to be working on. Then it's just a mechanism that we're all guilty of sometimes. We can't help but only do the things that we enjoy doing, in a sense, and not do the things that we need to be doing, right? To just get ahead. Our job as a coach is to kind of make that relatively entertaining. A lot of rehab is boring as I want to say batshit, but it's a saying, isn't it? But it really is. Rehab is boring. That's why people don't end up doing it. That's why it's quite surprising when you hear that. I think with physios or physical therapists hear that actually is being done. But essentially, it's boring because there's a lack of entertainment. That is part of the strategy, making your strength and conditioning actually entertaining, creating some form of buy-in. This is why we test and screen, because we want to give you a baseline to actually showcase, okay, you're not great right now, but within a space of weeks, you're already, without any words being said, you're noticing that you're much better. You're doing a much better job. This is where we want you to be. So understanding that a lot of people plateau because they have no strategy. They're winging it. They're literally following very simplistic template programs that have no accountability, no interaction. There's no progression or regression at times. And so you're kind of being overwhelmed, too much complexity, and you fall to the wayside. When you're time poor, strategy, stripping things back, integrating into your daily lifestyle, these are all very easy things potentially to be doing. But it maybe requires a bit of conversation, a bit of foresight, a bit of sitting down and thinking about it. But guys, the moment you start to implement this, you'll notice that you're starting to do it more autonomously. These are the behaviors that are supporting any great athlete right now in any sport, especially with endurance. Like, they'll all have behaviors that are just moving through on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, working on all these different areas that we talked about today. And whether they are being held accountable by their partners, training partners, by their other coaches, or they have just mechanically made it part of their lifestyle. We're all time poor. That's not enough of an excuse anymore. It's finding the right behaviors and routines and habits that work for you in your lifestyle. And this is why template app training doesn't work for a lot of people, because it's simply, it's just taking you on face value. It's not understanding who you are, what you need, and what's changing on a week-to-week basis. This is where, guys, I want to see you doing more of this, especially when we move into the next couple of months of training. Where could you be making these improvements? Because this is where the biggest benefits is going to come from. All that volume you're trying to add onto your body. Is your body good for it? How are you going to make sure of it? Your strength work is going to make sure of that. So any questions around any of this, guys, let us know, and I'll speak to you soon.